This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, Clay. Just so you know, are you there?
I am now. Yep.
Okay. Just so you know, I do have that joint statement, the NRPA CDC statement pulled up. So if you want to refer to that while you're talking, I have it, so I can just switch to it.
Yeah. Okay. Is that right from our page, or do you have it?
Here, I have their page open. I can just switch to it when I need to.
Okay. All right.
There
I think we need to refer
one?
people to our. Yeah. All right. Got it. And we need
I
to
agree.
refer
I also
people
have
to
our page.
There you go.
Yep, I have ours too. So.
Beautiful. Yep. We should be good to go. Are we recording at this point now?
We are, but I'm gonna edit it until we actually I'll cut it from where we actually start. I just don't want to miss anything.
Got it. No, very good. I thought that went really well this morning. So.
Yeah. We have space for 151 people on this call, so I think we'll be fine.
We
Hope
should
you can see
be.
my
I don't think there's going to be too many people on there. There's a few that have asked for some permissions, and I've had some conversations about, hey, just sit tight. Let this thing get recorded and put out there. And
yeah.
So, anyways, it'll all be good. I just
Mm-hmm.
get them on here and get it over with. So.
Right.
Anything else from the meeting standpoint? I think Jeff and Arnold look like they both sent you something that they'd like to be able to access.
Yeah. So Jeff, I put it into a PowerPoint slide so that it was easy to swap to.
Yeah.
And then Arnold sent me
Arnold's article.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I can open that up.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do it seamlessly. Yeah. Okay.
Got it.
Yep. I was just making sure everything was on the right monitor.
Okay. Cool.
I'm going to mute myself again.
Yep. Hey, Jeff, you on?
I'm on.
All right. How are you today?
This is being recorded, right?
Yeah, she's gonna cut it. She's gonna cut it though. You can let it rip. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, in the last hour, we've put our senior living facility on lockdown and got the word that Oakland County might be closing the playgrounds. So.
Yeah. from the county-wide perspective, right? Like issuing that as a directive.
Yeah, it hasn't been communicated out yet, but it sounds like it's coming.
Yeah.
If they're going to do it, they need to do it now, so before the weekend hits here, you know?
Yeah, so you guys get communication out, right? Get everything wrapped up before the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, it should be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
As people are joining us, I just want to remind everybody that you are on mute. And if you do need to ask a question or make a comment throughout, simply use the chat box and we will unmute you. We'll give everyone another minute or two to call in. But in the meantime, I'm just going to remind everyone that you are on mute, and I will keep you on mute. If you have any questions or comments, just use the chat box. We're going to try to keep this brief and focused so that we're not all talking over each other. We know that everybody has a lot going on and a lot of things to get back to, so we want to keep this quick so we'll get started in just a few more minutes.
It's working.
Okay, it looks like we're about 2 minutes past the hour. So if everybody can remain muted, I'm going to unmute Clay, Beth, and Arnold. And then Clay, when you are ready, you can begin.
Okay, thanks, Tina. Hopefully everybody can hear me. This is Clay, and I'm happy to have as many of you on the call as we can possibly get. Obviously, these times right now are a little bit trying for all of us, and that's an understatement, obviously, and there's a lot of unknowns and uncertainty and everything that we're doing right now, not only in our work, but in our family lives. And I think it's important that through our public policy group, as well as through, the directors that Jeff has under his leadership within the regions, we have a good conversation today, trying to keep this under an hour, knowing that everybody has places to go and things to wrap up and do, but certainly hear from as many of you as we possibly can. This call is being recorded. It will be placed on our website so that other directors or other general staff members can go back and listen to it, which I think is wonderful opportunity for that to happen. From an mParks perspective, I want everybody to understand that we are working diligently to be kind of that clearinghouse of information, trying our very best to stay up to date with all the current things that are going on that seem to be happening by the minute. I will give Tina extreme credit for being able to continue as our communications person to monitor all the different information that's out there and uploading that to our website, and trying to keep it current and trying to give you all the best information we possibly can. We've received a number of phone calls and emails wondering if mParks is going to come out with any sort of recommendations or decisions. And I will just lead this conversation by saying, no, we are not going to. We are specifically going to continue to be your resource for the information that's out there from both the federal, state, and any local governments that we hear from. So we are not here to take any sort of position or give you any sort of mandate from the association. It's not our role, nor within our business to do that. We specifically want to make sure that we're giving you the best information possible. I hope everybody understands it. I think some people were just looking for guidance and looking for different things. And I think now that we have that up on our website and we have the communities listed, that Tina's linked back to what their closures look like and what steps they're taking, I think that's helped. Knowing peace of mind is in the group, knowing that when you can go in and you can look at something and see your neighbors doing that, obviously it has an effect. So I wanted to kind of set the tone in that way, and just let everybody know that Jeff and Arnold and myself have spoken quite a few times this week, and we're all very comfortable with that statement. There's 4 different items on our agenda, so if you're looking at your screen, you should be able to see those. A different person's going to kind of take the lead on each one of those, and we're going to try to keep this conversation focused moving forward. And I think what we're going to do now is the first person from our panel that's going to talk is going to be Arnold. Arnold, as our public policy chair, is going to kind of lead any sort of discussion around closure of parks and or closure of playgrounds, so that folks have an opportunity to find out what others are doing and what some of the general guidelines are. And so at this time, Arnold, I believe you are unmuted. If you want to kind of take the lead here, I know there were some things you sent to Tina to pull up, and we'll try to get through this first conversation piece here with Arnold leading the group.
Well, I'm going to be pretty quick, and thank you, Clay, and thank you everyone for joining today, and thank you for all that you're doing in your communities during this uncertain time. As Clay noted, he, Jeff, and I have had some discussions. Clearly, early on, there, I don't know if there was confusion, but certainly there was indeed a call for mParks to lead in terms of being a resource, as Clay has noted. And I do want to thank Tina in particular for being right on top of it, and sometimes maybe a little too on top of it, as we've had to take down at least one article from earlier. But well, I'm going to be honest with everyone. From my personal perspective, and again, as Clay said, mParks is not taking a position as to whether you should remain open or closed. Those are all local decisions that you need to make in concert with your local health departments, if you have one, either at the county or community level, based on your observations regarding illnesses directly in your community and community spread issues. But it is my personal feeling, that at this point in time, our green spaces and trails are really all folks have left to get out, get a breath of fresh air, and try and get away from the pressures they're facing, both personally and or professionally. None of the governor's orders have closed our parks. As a matter of fact, I did send Tina this morning an article from a local source, Channel 6, where the DNR is quoted as saying, "We're open for business." And you can see that on your screen there. You can download that on your own time. So I know that there has been some discussion about closing playgrounds, and of course, places where people would naturally congregate, touch equipment, such as playgrounds and restrooms. I again think it's totally understandable if you feel the need to close those. Again, personally, this is my personal opinion, if it's at all possible, and I've even talked to Mayor Shore about this here in the Lansing area, that you fence off those playgrounds and keep the rest of whatever green space you may have available on that specific property available to people, again, just to walk around, get outside, find a space to, even if they want to, the family, kick a ball around or throw a ball around. But I certainly understand the concerns with playgrounds and common areas such as bathrooms. And, with that message, I think I'm actually going to turn it over to Jeff. He's, as you guys all know, like you all, on the ground dealing with this every day. And I know that he's got some thoughts to put out there for folks too. So Clay, I hope that was what you were looking for. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff.
Jeff, this is Tina. Before you do jump in, Ken Elbert had a comment, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute him real quick. Okay, you should be good to go, Ken.
Okay, Tina, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to, and Jeff, if you want to go ahead first, that's fine. I was just sort of going to reiterate what Rochester Hills is doing and what our position is doing. So if, Jeff, you have a bigger picture thing you want to share first, that's fine.
Yeah, I think, Ken, if we could do that, if we could have myself and Jeff go and present the bigger picture, and then we'll go into those kinds of things. I think that that's important to hear from folks such as yourself. But let's have Jeff go first, and then Tina, I don't know how you're handling that. If maybe you want people to put a hand up if that's available on GoToMeeting, or but then we'll go into those kinds of comments and questions, if that's okay, Ken.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I asked Tina to go next, so she was just putting me in the queue. I'll turn off.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so if everyone just in the comment box expresses that you have a question or a comment, we will get to you at the end then.
So Jeff, I think you're up.
Okay, so yeah, I think for the purposes of the rest of the discussion, what we might want to do is have people share their individual examples in the chat section. I think then that's a running dialogue that all of us can have through chat. Maybe that's something, Tina, we can capture, you know, and post as well. Instead of all of us, we all have different policies. We're all at different stages of where we're at with this. So I just think that might be the best way to run this from here on out, is just put your individual community status into the chat. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what came out yesterday from NRPA, and Clay can jump in at any time as well with this. NRPA put out their standards and their recommendations. They were asking for communities to sign off on it. I know Clay did on behalf of mParks. I know many departments have already posted that. I know I saw Lansing put that up yesterday. Yeah, you can see Tina scrolling through the list right now. A lot of what I'm hearing from other directors and seeing online specifically centers around playgrounds and the concerns about disinfecting them and restricting the access. And I have to agree with Arnold 100%. As long as we can maintain the access to our green spaces, then it looks like the writing's going to be on the wall for shutting down playgrounds. There's some word that our health department is going to shut those down and make it mandatory at any time. So depending on where you guys want to go with this, I guess my recommendation is, as of now, we're following the NRPA guidelines. That's an easy fallback. And if your local, state, or feds change anything, then you immediately implement. So, Clay, anything to add on that?
No, I think, again, this is all stuff that we've been talking about, and there's been, you know, different pods of conversations around this exact type of conversation. I think I'd be interested in hearing, you know, knowing that you've mentioned that Oakland County may be considering a county-wide mandate coming up from the Oakland County Health Department. I'm not sure if some of our Oakland County folks are on the call right now. I think I see Jim. I know Dan was planning on being on the call. I don't know if, you know, again, if it'd be appropriate to go into that type of conversation to see if those folks are hearing what the flavor is coming from their local health department, how that could trickle down to the communities within those counties. Again, you know, knowing Ken's got some comments and kind of letting it be organic at that point, I'm fine with. I think the NRPA information we're continuing to post on our website is wonderful. I think it's a great fallback. That is coming directly from your national organization as far as social distancing, and you can see it on your screen within Parks and Trails. Our friends within the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance are using this as well. So this has taken hold with some of our partner organizations. They're using the same outreach information that we're providing. So I think we're kind of speaking in unison there. The mParks board meeting this morning was held virtually over the phone. It's a great conversation regarding, you know, our site and keeping that up to date and how important that is to the membership. And so as that kind of go-to organization right now for everybody, we'll continue to try to update information. But I'm also interested in hearing, because I'm not on the ground anymore, hearing what some of the local municipalities are doing and how you guys are dealing with this from a closure standpoint. Not necessarily diving into the employees and the part-time employees and all that, but what are you doing on the ground as it's closing down some of your systems?
Hey,
So
before,
am I still good?
yeah. I want you to go over that list
Yep.
you'd sent earlier today.
Okay, so I'll jump in. This is Jeff Muck again. What I've heard from several directors is there's been a couple of different tactics. Some people are using caution tape and signage. I think I've heard of at least one department that's done snow fencing for theirs. Of course, everybody who would do this would be using their social media. But looking through the chat scroll, I think, Tina, if we could, I'd like to hear from Sean Fletcher. He apparently has been contacted by media about sanitizing playground equipment. So if Sean could jump in, I think for the status of the group, it would be good to hear what their response has been, if they've had a response. And then flat out, I mean, how do you sanitize playground equipment? I mean, you could sanitize it at 9 a.m. and your parks maintenance staff could walk away, and at 9:30, somebody's touching that playground equipment again. So I don't, I'm interested if Sean is willing to jump on and maybe talk about that.
Sean, I just attempted to unmute you. I believe it is sending you an audio pin to enter. Let me know if you're able. Doesn't appear to be working for him.
Okay, so maybe if anybody else had some input on that.
Well, I see Jeff, I see Ryan has posted about Isabella County. Ryan, can we unmute Ryan and he maybe can talk about that? As you know, Ryan, you say that they've closed all of their parks and their trails.
Ryan, you're unmuted. Ryan, at Isabella.
Well, bear with us as we go through some of these technical issues, everyone. It looks like, I think that's Greg Hohenberger just jumped in about golf courses and asking a question regarding people opening their golf courses. The governor's direction was, yes, you could. From what I've seen is it's mainly private courses that are open. They're doing things such as one person per cart. They've slashed their tee times in half to allow greater spacing between groups. Some are walk only, so they don't have to deal with the disinfecting. I saw one that today was referencing that they're sending staff around hourly to clean sanitized flag sticks, ball washers, and those kind of things. So, Greg, for your direction, maybe that helps a little bit, or on that discussion. And looks like Sean might be able to chime in now.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So we are utilizing probably like Canton, the incident command system, and I didn't have a conversation with the media because all those conversations are going through our public information officer. But what I did discuss with our deputy city manager was the fact that, to Jeff's point, you really can't sanitize playground equipment. And at this point, our playgrounds are closed, but based on what I'm hearing from you folks, we're probably going to go to a different level within our community as far as what's closed and available. And we probably will be shutting down playgrounds effective Monday, I'm guessing, if not sooner. We don't have any cases of COVID-19 confirmed, but I'm thinking that's a matter of time. And we probably will be either snow fencing or cutting down or putting up, police line do not cross tape, whatever is appropriate, and shutting those down because, yeah, you can't really keep them sanitized is probably the best way to look at it. And then just from a golf standpoint, if I could, the courses we have in Kalamazoo are open. They've raised the cups up. So if your ball hits the cup, you've made the putt. There's no, you don't take the flag stick out, and they are walk only currently.
So it looks like Ryan, maybe if we can get Ryan on, I think he wanted to weigh in now since he's good to talk.
Ryan should have full access now to speak. It might be an issue on their end because here it says that they're unmuted.
Okay, so while we're still trying to get Ryan, I wanted to swerve the conversation a little bit to I had this conversation with Dan Stencil a little earlier, is if we're closing playgrounds, how does that affect all the other park amenities? Park benches, picnic tables, things that people are going to migrate to in those parks. I kind of feel we're on a little bit of a slippery slope now. Does that lead to more calls for us to shut down the parks entirely, or are we going to start going around and caution taping off park benches and picnic tables that are out in the parks? So your bike repair stations, some of us have bike repair stations on our trails. You know, are those now something that we should be considering? So I don't have an answer for that, but I'm going to throw that out there too.
I'm going to unmute Ken, Brandy, Jen, and Mark, and if you want to speak in that order on this topic.
Okay, this is Ken.
Good.
All right, thank you. Yeah, just a couple things from our perspective, and we're having an in-depth sort of discussion on this with our team early next week on the playground issue. But our position right now is until required to shut down by county health, that we're not shutting down playgrounds. We will look at signage like West Bloomfield mentioned, but doing the little bit of research that's out there, it seems like the infrared and some of the issues with sunlight actually break this thing down outside on hard surfaces. All the research that's been done and all the standards that have been issued so far have been interior studies for the most part, so we don't know for sure on that. So that's a standard that sort of we're taking right now. The bigger issue we're having is basically the staff that's trying to get or keep the parks open are very tense right now, and so you know, there's a lot of struggles with just keeping them safe and what the levels are. So we're probably moving to shut down all bathrooms. We won't unwinterize on that because those are the hot spots in the parks. So, but again, I haven't found research that says the playgrounds are a problem at this point, and I have found a little bit that seems to point to outside the virus dissipates very quickly. It's not the same as the hard surfaces inside where it lasts for days and days. That's all I had.
Brandy is not connected yet to audio, but Jen, I just unmuted you. If you're Jen Tucker, if you'll want to jump in. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, great. So West Bloomfield, currently what we're doing is putting signage in our sign makers, throwing them together for us today. Just noticing the folks that are using it, that it is at your own risk. And also following that up with something a little bit more, not so, dire, that, to reminding them for social distancing and those kinds of things. Currently, one thing that we're kind of struggling with is one of our restrooms is still open. It is our year-round heated facility, just the restrooms, but we've kind of flirted with what does that mean? And we've signed the area like crazy, put out extra sanitizer. One thing we are finding is people are stealing it along with the toilet paper. So that's been interesting. But for the most part, our trail has never seen so much volume. And I've gotten many emails from constituents saying how happy they are that they have their parks to go to at this point. So currently that's what we're doing. Our entire staff is working from home. That scenario is, we are coming in and doing what we have to do, but for the most part, everyone is staying in their homes.
Thank you, Jen. Mark, I'm unmuting you right now if you would like to hop on. Not showing that Mark is active on his microphone. So Jeff, I'm not sure if you wanted to continue for now.
So for those of you who may have already shut down your playgrounds, I'm wondering if we could get some comments on how you're working with your public safety on those shutdowns. Is your public safety taking that seriously? Are they looking at that down the road? Or did they help you mandate that those be shut down? Just interested in anybody who's already taken that step.
This is Mark Brochu. Our health department in St. Clair County has taken a very active, proactive role, and we submit a question to our health department and they give us an answer. They were very quick on their answer with playgrounds, and as in my chat, they referenced executive order number 4. It's a place of amusement and said shut it down, and we were agonizing over that and quickly complied by fencing off and signing the playgrounds when we got that word.
Thanks, Mark. I haven't seen if anybody wanted to jump in on the coordination with public safety yet, and so would welcome any comments on that.
Mark, I have a question for you. This is Arnold about their reference to executive order number 4. Was that their interpretation? Places of amusement include playgrounds, or did they actually call the governor's office?
That was their interpretation.
Thank you.
I unmuted Ken because he was saying that their legal definition was slightly different. So Ken, if you wanted to jump in on that.
Sure, and I'm not, again, just to be clear, because there are confusing lines of authority here, whatever the local health department declares is what the legal standard is for that county. And we exist in Oakland County and Mark exists in St. Clair County. So it's possible we're going to have different standards for a while until some of this coalesces. But we've had legal review of our legal counsel of the situation as we go through the steps, and they're comfortable at this point that we're within all the executive ordered standards. The governor has even clarified some things with golf courses, as some of us know that originally the order was to shut down golf courses, and then the clarification came that it was more about indoor facilities. So that's a position our legal counsel is taking right now. But again, if the health department in Oakland County was to make a different decision, we would follow that. So that's where we are with playgrounds right now, but could change next week.
Okay, so I think unless anybody else had anything real pressing right now to jump in on closure of parks and playgrounds, I think maybe we should move on to our number 2 talking point. Jen Tucker, thanks for jumping in. Says our public safety has been real supportive of keeping parks open, so appreciate hearing that. So continue to add your comments to the chat as we go along, everyone, so we can document this. I asked Tina to place number 2 on the agenda for today. Just having some thoughts about, we all have different policies. Everybody's in a different place right now as to whether your staff are in the office or working from home, paid versus unpaid. You know, there's everything's still in flux with the feds just coming out yesterday with the 80-hour sick banks being loaded to everyone. So I don't want this part of the conversation to devolve into what each individual department is doing, but wanted the conversation to center more about sharing ideas with each other about what are our staff doing if they're working from home? What are our staff doing if they're in the office? What are we doing for our communities? I think the big fear, quite frankly, that all of us might need to think about is, are we going to start having elected officials, city managers, or whoever it might be, starting to look at us as, well, your programs aren't running, they're potentially closed indefinitely, what the heck are the Parks and Rec staff doing? And so I think it's important for us as directors to be able to justify basically that we're still essential, and what are our teams doing during this shutdown. So, you know, when I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning and couldn't get back to sleep with that anxiety, I started drafting a little bit of a list, and just wanted to throw some thoughts out here for people, and would appreciate people jumping in with their ideas and their thoughts. And then just a thought as well for Tina and Clay. Maybe this becomes more of a like a Google Doc that we just allow people to start adding to with these type of ideas, and is used as a resource as we get through this. So looks like Sean Fletcher is ready to talk if we want to unmute him.
Jeff, I think that's a great idea. I can definitely get that on the website. And Sean, you should be good to go.
Okay, Canton can probably speak to this as well, but in the incident command system structure, we have some very specific roles to help with any type of disaster, and obviously a pandemic is one of those. So, you know, we're positioned in the incident command structure to do certain things, which obviously increases our value to the organization. But our administration has been very clear that, you know, we're going to come out of this eventually. And knowing that, we're going to have programs, because people are going to be chomping at the bit to not only get outdoors, but have summer camps and activities and events and those kinds of things. So I would hope that nobody, you know, gets the jitters and says, yeah, we need to wipe out half the Parks and Rec department, and we're going to come out the other side of this and need all those staff and maybe more. So.
Thank you, Sean. No, I appreciate that. Any other comments? Any other thoughts? What are you doing? Has anybody had staff that have been reallocated maybe to other duties? We've sent a couple of staff to help with our Meals on Wheels program because they're hurting for volunteers. So we have started out reallocating some services as well. So looks like some things are flying in here. Looks like a lot of people are getting good support.
If anybody wants to speak.
Yeah, please let Tina know if you'd like to jump in and talk. This isn't just me talking or Clay talking. One of the uniquest ideas I've seen is the virtual rec center. And there's a link to it on this document, but they basically set up a brand new web page as part of their city functions, and that's where they're starting to post all of their Instagram pictures and tips from their staff and all those kind of things onto this virtual rec center. I thought that was kind of a neat idea and added that as a resource.
Is there anybody else that wanted to jump in and speak to Jeff's list here? I think it's a very, very useful list of information that he put together. I'm curious to hear what some others are doing. I know some people are having difficulty getting on the audio part, but if there's anybody that wants to add to that, this would be the time.
So maybe I've seen a few people jump in about emergency operations centers, and Sean referenced him in Canton. You know, that's a lot of our communities. We're definitely participating in that, but usually it's our leadership team that is called into the EOC. I guess I was worried a little bit more about programming staff. What are you doing with them? What kind of opportunities are you giving them if they're being mandated to work from home, so that you don't get that question about, well, you're not running the 1,200 kid soccer league. What's your person who runs soccer do? Sean looks like he can jump in.
Yeah, just one thing I forgot. Our park staff have been, most of them have been temporarily reassigned to our public services division to help with other things going on in the city, you know, as it relates to this pandemic. So, you know, that's one area where there's going to need to be help. It may not be in parks. We did retain one to two parks people to actually, you know, pick up trash and kind of keep an eye on the parks, but other people are being reassigned to other roles. The majority of people, to Brandy's point, are working remotely.
So Jim Dudley just weighed in on Oakland County, and really appreciate that, Jim, that they're not mandating closure of playgrounds. They're recommending to post information to practice social distance. That's really good to hear. Because according to, I think Ken and I are on the same page with that. Until Oakland County would come down with something, we wouldn't be closing our playgrounds. So I guess to wrap up this part of that playground conversation, continue to monitor your local county health department and any state and federal guidelines to close down the Parks and Rec programming and work at home stuff. Tino put something up on the mParks website so that we can use this as a resource document and people can add to it as this goes along. So I think at this point I'd turn it over to Clay then to talk a little bit about where the DNR is at.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. So I think it's just important to note that if any of you had a grant proposal in, or if you're working to that end on an April 1st deadline, there has been some communication coming out from the DNR grants management section that they are talking about extending the April 1st deadline. I've been in contact over the last couple of days with Dan Lord, the section manager. Not necessarily ready to jump on some things. I do have an email here from him that I'm kind of briefing a little bit. At this time, the deadline to submit grant applications in our alliance system is still April 1st. However, we understand that the evolving coronavirus situation will pose challenges for our applicants. If an applicant, for some reason related to taking steps to mitigate coronavirus, is unable to meet this deadline, we will review those situations on a case-by-case and allow variances where justified. So it's not necessarily that they're opening up the deadline so more applications can come in. It's those that are working towards that will have an opportunity, if there's some sort of hitch in the get along here with this situation we're in, that they'll begin to look at extending that deadline. That's really all I have. I don't know much more. Maybe some of you have heard from them directly, even more so than I do. So I'd leave it at that. They are managing it. They are trying internally to manage this. So if there are questions, concerns, we certainly are monitoring that. I'm in contact with Dan about every other day right now to see if there's any change to that. They don't have anything currently on their grants page alluding to that, but that has been discussed. So I know some folks probably got a direct email to that. And I know one of the other things to this whole thing is that I believe they were going to waive the requirement to hold public meetings in public. So I know that was a piece of his email too, is some of that type of stuff is happening right now. comments? Anybody want to speak to that? Anybody heard anything different than what I'm hearing?
Well, Clay, to your last comment regarding public meetings, they still have to have availability to the public. They can be done virtually.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
so they're putting some guidelines together there, and you can certainly allow for
they don't have
those
to be
meetings to happen
personal.
virtually.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
They can happen via some social media platforms that you have, or they can happen via, whatever other avenues you have to pursue to receive public input.
Wendy from East Lansing said she forwarded me an email that I can post for the groups. I will add that to the resources, but from the DNR grants, but she also mentioned that according to this, that public meetings can be held after the grant submission.
Great, thank you.
Unless there's any other
Anybody
comments
else
on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, is anybody else, if nobody else is hearing anything different there, we'll kind of keep monitoring that and make sure that we're in lockstep with what the DNR grants division's doing, and hopefully be able to communicate that to you all as it becomes available, and you will hear from them directly too if you're an applicant.
All right. And with that, I
Okay.
just wanted to reiterate some of the resources that are available right now, both on the mParks website and the NRPA website. I'm just going to open up here. We do have the page mparks.org/COVID-19, where we have organized the information for Parks and Recreation resources. So if you're questioning a lot of what we've discussed here came from NRPA, and they are posted here. We also have the health official resources. And then these are the departments who have sent us their announced closings, so you can link to their pages or their notices and see what language they're using or what they're closing or not closing, and you can find that information here. I know this list is not all inclusive. These are just the ones that have been sent to us. And then the general mParks updates and resources, just to remind people that during this, we know that you're going to be working digitally a lot more. And if you need assistance with setting up conference calls or go to webinars or things like that, we are still here to help you with that. The NRPA website is also pretty thorough with information, and they have some expert blogs written and some other resources from other states that might be helpful and might kind of tell us where things are headed in the next week or so, or hour, who knows how long. But just to reiterate that the resources are out there, and to keep sending us your information, and we will keep posting. With that, Clay or Jeff?
I'd like to speak to one
Go ahead,
thing. Hang on, Jeff. Just one thing before we go, because Tina had it up on our webpage, and it was showing some of the programs and activities that fall within the month of April. If you want to scroll down to the bottom of that, Tina, the updates. The one we're getting the most calls on, obviously, is our SIPSI program. So this is specifically has to do with mParks and one of our programs, and the SIPSI certification and exam was to take place in Troy the 15th to the 17th of April. Justin's been in very close communication with both the community of Troy as well as NRPA, and is working with Tina to put some things together. But that obviously has been canceled as an on-site training. There's an opportunity, obviously to do a refund, but some folks need to have this certification. If you do, we're setting up an opportunity to do an online recertification and exam, as well as we will be hosting a fall SIPSI training, and we're waiting for some dates back from the community of Troy to put those exact dates in place and kind of shift. That will be a much larger fall certification than normal, I would think, but there is going to be some online capabilities to get your staff or your folks who maybe have an expiring certification taken care of. We'll work with our other states around us to figure out when and where they're hosting, but they're all in the same boat. They're shutting down their on-site trainings. So I just wanted to speak to that real quick, since how we had just a few minutes before we wrap up, and let you know that once that stuff is all wrapped up in a nice little bow, we will be communicating with every person who has been registered for that spring SIPSI.
So I guess I'd just wrap up by just saying my thanks to Arnold, Clay, and Tina for helping pull this together. I think we got this done in like 2 days, I think, and hope you all found it worthwhile. I think this will be on the radar as this continues to progress, as we may put something like this together again. So with that being said, I guess, take care, my friends. Take care of your people, take care of your staff, take care of your communities, and thanks for everything you do.
Thanks for all you do, folks. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being on the call. This will be recorded, or has been recorded. We'll post it so the rest of our membership can have access to it. It was a little clunky. We'll get it up though. And take care, everybody, and God bless you all.
Thank you.